Welcome back in. Just another football show.
Huh. The gusto that you wanted.
Jim, do you want to just hang out for this one? I know we're talking Cardinals Rams.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to.
I know.
A little intel. I guess maybe you got a little knowledge.
A little bit about
going
these two
on.
teams.
Okay, I guess that's the way you want to look at it.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad.
thought maybe you're just gonna tell these guys, might just poke your head in and go, you know what? Fuck you, and then just out.
No, I'm not
Make
that
me carry
kind of a guy.
Okay, all right.
You know, we're not playing Arizona, so that's a plus here.
It's a win, right?
Unfortunately, we didn't get a rematch right away with the Rams that I was kind of excited about seeing, but it's going to be good. This is a divisional matchup here. These teams split the regular season and have sort of been split Jekyll and Hyde all season long, so it's going to come down to which team shows up, I think. And
yeah, I also want to pick these guys' brains and see how they feel about this being a Monday nighter because that's odd.
It does make.
I don't like it
from a fan perspective. It's fun. I get 3 days of playoff football. I get a fun Monday night.
Oh
game.
man, for me it would have been because I already have Monday off. It's one of those holidays that a lot of people have off. Some don't, but I got Monday off, so it would have been pregame, and then it would have been taking Tuesday off. So I would have been okay with it. But to roll into for the team that wins to roll into the next week, it's where I start having my problems. So we'll hit those guys up about that as well. So we're gonna talk to. Let me check the notes here. Talking to Cardinals fan Tyler. He's coming back. He's a little hiatus. Took a little time off. Been busy. And then Rams fan Nicholas, who we talked to in the preseason, and should be fun. These guys are good. Good fans. Good time. Let's just let's get it going. Let's get Tyler on the line.
On the blower.
It's a thing. All right. So now another one from the preseason. We're it's nice when we hit check all the boxes in the preseason. When the playoffs roll around, we can just shoot out some messages and be like, "Hey man, want to come back? Talk your team." And here we are. Nicholas was great in the preseason. Coming back, talking Rams. I got questions because this team, I don't want to say backing in, but they're backing into a division championship, I guess by definition. Nicholas, how's it going? How you feeling getting into this postseason?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back. We're talking Rams again, and yeah, man, it's going. That's as far as I can go.
Yeah,
man. Ooh.
There was. It was sort of a rough Sunday for you guys. I mean, Arizona loses, so you don't necessarily have to put up much of an effort in the later half of a game, but a very hotly contested game. I'm a 49ers fan. I'm going to tell you that right out of the gate. So I loved every minute of the second half of Sunday. First half, I was just ready to write it off.
If you get really, really mad and you need me to put him in place as a Chiefs fan, I can do that.
He'll just mute me. It's fine. But that's one of these.
Go Chiefs.
So
we have a
it's
dynamic
one of
on this
these
show.
Weird. I look at this matchup and it's fun from an outside looking in because I would not want to play the Cardinals in the postseason because that's how it goes for the 49ers. And the Rams own Seattle and the Niners sort of own the Rams, and that's the way the division sort of works out. But if you look at this the last two times this team have matched up this season, they have split. Arizona won 27-20. The Rams won the rebound matchup 30-23. So it's a third one, and both these teams
Rubber match, I believe they call it.
Both these teams know each other coming in. You said off air you were shaking your head at Matthew Stafford, and a bunch of Lions fans are probably going, well, yeah, that's what we always did too. You watched sort of how that game played out to get to this point. Are you worried at all coming into this playoff matchup about Matthew Stafford and what he can do against this Cardinals team? I don't want to dive too much into what we've seen up to this point.
Little streak of.
But Matthew Stafford in this game particularly, has he shown you enough getting here that you're worried about his performance?
If we're going to just strictly talk about Matthew Stafford on that point at all, just alone, I'm going to be a little worried. He's started out amazing first half of the season, and towards the second half, he started getting a little gothy.
Ooh.
And
wow,
yeah,
adjective.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is a dagger to my heart.
I mean, you're not wrong either.
Yeah, and I think it's his pride He's just trying too much. He's trying to do too much. And I get that coming from a team like the Lions. You were the man on the spotlight. But this time around, he's got to rely more on his teammates. He's got to realize that he's got the number one wide receiver again with Cooper Kupp. He's got a star of a veteran, Odell Beckham, on the other side. And he's got a pretty decent running game with Sony Michel. So he's got to just rely on that a little bit more. I get it that the line has not hold at all. We need more out of Brian Allen. We need more of Andrew Whitworth. Those two guys, and even David Edwards. We need those guys to step it up, especially if we're going to go against, well, a very, very notable defense like the Cardinals, and with the return of Mr. Watt himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be rough sledding. That's one thing I said in the matchup this past weekend is if San Francisco stands a chance, they have to dial the pressure up on Stafford, and they were able to do that and get that there. So there's a little bit of a worry there on that O-line. It's funny that you mentioned sort of Sony Michel as the running back on this game because I think he's probably the third best back on the team. I love Darrell Henderson as a fantasy owner. Please, would have loved to see more Darrell Henderson here. I like the addition of Cam Akers. I don't think he was quite ready for the Niners. Should have given him another week to rest to get ready for the postseason. But you talk about the receivers on this team. Love Cooper Kupp. I think that guy is and it's funny, a receiver that can lead the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns can still somehow fall under the radar when you're talking about the best receivers in the league. That's just mind-blowing to me. I think Cooper Kupp is a tremendous wide receiver. Does not get the credit he deserves when he's put out the numbers there. But you said Odell Beckham. And here's the thing. I don't know if I like
Are you
Odell.
still doing this?
No, I'm watching that game play out in the latter moments in the overtime. And I messaged you, Casey, and I said, Stafford is forcing Odell. He's trying to get the ball to Odell. Yes, in that situation, you want to get your ball to your most dynamic, quote-unquote, playmaker. I think Odell's wide receiver 2 or 3 on that team. You know, without Robert Woods in that picture, I think he's still probably wide receiver 3 on that team. I like what Everett can do. But looking at that and watching that game plan, the way it sort of played out, and that last waning interception, trying to force that ball downfield, if he'd have hit Odell in the hands as a touchdown, you guys win the game and you're the 2 seed, and we're not even talking about any of this right now. But is there a worry or a feel that in a big-time moment, Stafford's going to try and force the ball somewhere where he could have picked an easier completion and just sort of kept things moving?
Yeah, there's that worry that, again, he's going to try to do too much. And I think on that very play that we're talking about where, you know, in OT, he throws for the pick, again, there was a man open right in front of him. I believe it was Sony. And I think that was a smarter play. Instead of going for the long ball for the home run kind of a type of win, we should have just played it short and simple. And that's honestly what the 49ers are great at. Short and simple and up the field. Might take a little bit longer, but it'll get done, especially when you got someone like Debo on your team. I think we are relying a little bit too much on Odell, and we need Van Jefferson to pick it up a little bit more because, I mean, he's a great receiver. I love him. Just hate when he drops so many passes. And I think he's a perfect matchup when you have people keeping an eye on Kupp and then keeping an eye on Beckham. But, I mean, Tyler Higbee stepped it up like he should, and I'm hoping the exact same thing happens again in this matchup where he gets a couple touchdowns because everybody, you know, has their eyes on everyone else.
Yeah, Jefferson was the name I meant. I don't know why I said Everett in that point.
Yeah.
So I'll correct myself there. But I like Van Jefferson. I've won some money off of some bets putting him in there as far as like touchdown. He was a touchdown machine throughout the mid part of the season as far as Matthew Stafford was concerned. And this defense, this Rams defense, you know, I'm looking at their stats right now. 6th against the rush, 22nd against the pass, and you've got some, you know, some good playmakers back there. I watched what Jalen Ramsey was able to do, that ridiculous 5-time bobbled interception. But you lost a piece in that game that might not be there. Yes, exactly.
Jordan Fuller.
Yep. Jordan Fuller might not be available this upcoming weekend. And looking at this matchup with Arizona, they're probably missing DeAndre Hopkins. Don't think he's going to start this game. He's out another game at least, from what I've heard to this point. Defensively, how do you think this team matches up against what Arizona can do offensively?
Well, you got to remember that when we did beat Arizona, we didn't have Ramsey due to COVID. And I think it's proven that game that our defense can definitely step it up. But, there's a possible return of Sebastian Joseph Day, and I think he'll be a great back and forth between him and Gaines. I mean, Gaines has been spectacular this season. He's really stepped it up. When it comes to our secondary, we lost Fuller. I think, of course, Nick Scott's going to take over on the strong safety position. I think we might see a little bit of switch off between Scott and Terrell Burgess going back and forth on that one. I think Terrell's going to have to step it up big time on that one. And I think Ramsey's going to have to hit Taylor Rapp again in the face, to get him pumped up.
Yeah. that was fun to see that sort of play out.
Yeah, and then when it comes to our linebackers, I love Reader, but man, does he miss sometimes. He hits hard, fantastic hitter, but he can miss, and I need him to just wrap it up. Classic football wrap. Leonard Floyd was kind of MIA that last game with the Niners, and I think him and Miller we're going to have to count on him on keeping Murray at bay. And then, of course, Williams and Ramsey are going to have to really keep an eye on AJ Green and Christian Kirk. Those guys, they're deadly. I don't care what anyone says about AJ Green being too old or, he's out of prime. He's still deadly, and he's proven that. And Christian Kirk is not someone you can mess with. And you got Zach Ertz and Moore as well. I mean, they have some good passing core there. And then I don't know about James Conner and Chase Edmonds' status as of now. So I could definitely be expecting Kyler Murray to be running the ball a lot this game.
Yeah, Kyler is a threat, and it's weird with Kyler, and I'll get into this more with our Cardinals fan. But it's sort of it's that time of year for them. We've seen them sort of slough off here, and they had an opportunity to go out and you're playing the what looked at the time a bad Seattle team, but you're playing for the opportunity to win. They win that game, they're the number 2 seed for the most part, effectively, and they lost that game as well. So this Arizona team for me has been more up and down than this Rams team has been. But the problem is when we've seen this Rams team sort of get down, it's been kind of streaky. It's not just down one game and back up the next. You get a couple down and then a couple back up. How does this team bounce back from a grueling, overtime game? This was a long, drawn-out game. They get the benefit of playing, on Monday night, so they get that extra day of rest. But how do you sort of bounce back from leaving it all out there in that body bag of a game to come out here and get ready for the Cardinals?
I think it's a lesson learned on that Niner game that we got overconfident and overjoyed or whatever you want to call it, and we just let off the pedal. And you can't do that against any team in the West. They're deadly. I said it in the beginning of the year, my first time on the podcast, that it's one of the strongest divisions is the NFC West, and this time of year is, from what I remember, the last 9 years, the Cardinals usually start to face off. I believe in the first 7 in 2020 they were 5-2 and they finished 3-6 afterwards. In 2019 they were 3-3 with a tie, and then they finished with the 2-7. So they usually start to slack off, and kind of what I'm hoping for, but it's not something that we should expect.
So I wanted to ask you before we start wrapping things up here. First time that we've had a Monday night game on Wild Card Weekend, and I think, I don't know, I personally I'm not a fan. I don't like the we constantly hear the the talk of coming into a game on a short week or whatever. And, in theory, one of these teams is going to go into next week on a short week. I have to imagine that winner of this game is locked into playing on Sunday. But how do you feel about that? Do you put any stock behind any of that at all?
I don't like it. First, me as a fan, I hate it. because I have to wait a whole week. I have to wait even longer
Yeah,
for this game.
that's true.
So, I'm on the edge of my seat the whole week. I can't even concentrate at work. And you make a great point. Yeah, you make a great point. We go Monday, but what if we don't get Sunday? What if we do get Saturday? Who knows? The NFL, nothing's promised.
Yeah.
And that's just even a shorter week with us. And injuries could definitely change the turnout on any team. That's scary.
Yeah, I'm not.
We just have to play it out, man.
Not a fan of the Monday nighter here. If I'm being honest with everybody,
I like the Monday nighter because it gives me another night of football.
That's different.
But if I'm a fan of this team or a player on this team, maybe I don't like it so much. Like you said, maybe having to come back on a short week and play a Saturday. I wouldn't expect that they'd do that.
No, I would imagine that whoever wins this game is locked into a Sunday. But the NFL's we've seen the NFL do dumber things.
Is there another wonky Nickelodeon game that maybe is a Saturday that they try
Let's
to
go.
piggyback on this
Lock
one?
it in. Let's do it.
One of these two teams. So it's sort of that time of the night. We ask everyone this question. And what's your overall prediction? Give me a final score. And how do you think this game gets to that final score?
All right, then. Well, I think it's going to be a final score. If you look back at the last two games, they were pretty separated by, I believe, 7 points. So, again, I think this game will go to just a difference of 7 points. And I think that it'll go down to 20-27. Rams win by, I'll say they take it by the third and hold on to it till the fourth. It'll be a close one, though.
Nicholas, it's weird. We haven't talked to a single fan yet that has picked their team to lose. That's interesting.
That's how it works. It's we are about the halfway point, and no one's picked their team to lose.
I'm just glad I haven't had to pick it yet.
That's fair. You got till
I'm
Friday.
getting all these hands-on experience and all these fan ideas, and I'm working through it.
You got till Friday, sir. All right, Nicholas, we appreciate you popping on with us, talking about this matchup.
Please beat the Cardinals.
If your Rams,
I will tell you that right now. Please beat the Cardinals.
If your Rams win, we'll be hitting you up to pop back on and preview another game with us next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Go Rams.
Take it
Let's
easy,
go,
sir.
Mob Squad. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Yep, you too, brother.
All right, so now we're going to welcome on Tyler. Tyler joined us a while back. He wasn't on the preseason this season. He was a little busy, but I went back to the well and see if he could come on, talk a little playoff football with us, and he was available. Yeah, so we got to get him back.
It's always better to talk playoff football than preseason.
This is true. So Tyler, your team's had an up and down season. How's it going, man?
Overall, it's been pretty fantastic, but with the lull moments, it's been also pretty scary. But knowing that the Cardinals have had 3 straight years with K1 and Cliff, and they've had nothing but improvement is always nice. I'm just hoping to see some more consistency, and hopefully that'll start on Monday with Kyler and Cliff. Some new tricks.
That's just fun to say, isn't it? Monday night
I don't know.
football.
I asked our Rams fan about this. How do you feel about the Monday night aspect? Is it something that you like? You indifferent? Do you hate it? I feel like I do.
I'm off on Monday, so I'm just glad I get to watch it.
There you go. I guess that's a very very valid response.
Yeah, see, that works out for you. There.
Right. I mean, there is the perk that the Rams beat the Cardinals on Monday night, but the Cardinals beat the Rams in SoFi, so we'll see how it goes.
Handing it back.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona probably didn't want to host a home playoff game anyways, right?
The way they're playing on the road, you're not wrong.
They're much better on the road.
I've been saying that for about 4 weeks now. I was like, do we really want the division at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you're most likely looking at maybe 1-2 home games anyways, and they're, like I said, they're playing much better on the road. You mentioned sort of a back and forth, up and down season. This team's battled a lot of adversity, a lot of injuries. You lost Kyler for a while, DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe next week if you make it that far. So how do you feel this team has sort of handled all that? And now you battled all that. You had some banged up injuries. J.J. Watt missed the majority of the season, and he came back to finish the season finale off. But you got him coming into this game healthy. How do you sort of feel the team has been able to overcome all that?
I think overall that the biggest part of the team that I think's overcome adversity the best, in my opinion, is the wide receiver core, because losing DeAndre Hopkins is losing DeAndre Hopkins, losing your best wide receiver. And I think people like Antonio Wesley, he really stepped up and took place of that other outside receiver. But I also think Christian Kirk's had a pretty fantastic year for his standards, being that number 3, being our slot guy. And then, of course, having Rondale Moore throughout most of the season. We'll be having him back on Monday as well. I think that's going to be huge for our passing game. And Rondale is almost like a Deebo Samuel type, where you can kind of put him anywhere on the field and use him as a back almost, and he'll get productive. But in terms of our backfield, I'm just hoping that James Conner is healthy for the Monday night game.
Yeah, it's been sort of a career or resurgence of James Conner. I had him stashed away on a fantasy bench, and it wasn't until about halfway through the season I noticed what he was doing. Yeah, you did. Thank you for that. Noticed what he was doing. Put up a lot of numbers, sort of looking like, hey, this is the James Conner we were promised in Pittsburgh, and now it's showing up here. It's been sort of a cast of characters back there without James Conner. You got to watch how the Niners kind of ran all over the Rams. I think there was like 10 running plays in a row there. From an Arizona Cardinal fan standpoint, can you guys duplicate that? Have that sort of success running the football, assuming James Conner is in against this LA team?
I definitely think that we could possibly be even better if we decide to pull out some more Kyler Murray option plays, because I think we've been really holding back on running Kyler this season compared to earlier in his career. And I think coming into this game, Kyler's going to be putting it all on the line. And I think they're going to be calling a whole bunch of kind of new looks that defenses haven't seen this season, with K1 running the ball more. And I also think that, Benjamin could have some big moments as well if we give him the ball, because he's had some big flashes this season. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw, but when he trucked Dre Kirkpatrick way earlier in the season against the 49ers, that was I think a big showing.
Yeah. I'm a 49ers fan, so yeah.
So he saw it for sure.
Well, I'm sorry that I had to bring that up on you.
That's all right. We took care of the Rams for you, though, so you're welcome there. You talked about getting this run game going. It's going to have to be a physical matchup, I think. I think that's the way that the 49ers have had success against LA. I think that's the way that the Cardinals can sort of duplicate that, as being physical, control the line of scrimmage, win that battle in the trenches. And I think with Kyler, you talk about not as much rushing or designed quarterback draw plays. And I think that's just a little bit of maturity on his level, looking downfield, knowing that, hey, if I get hurt, like has happened previously, this team they need me out here. So if it comes down to it, at what point in the game do you think Kyler just decides that, hey, man, this is it, and now he's going to look like that Kyler of old and sort of start taking off with his legs?
I definitely think that the first drive is going to be pretty scripted, and that really comes down to how much Cliff wants him running early. But I think Kyler will probably start pulling it down like late first quarter, early second quarter. I think once he kind of gets a sense of what the defense is doing and he knows kind of where the gaps and the holes can be coming up, I think that's when he'll start taking more advantage of it.
Yeah, one thing that's helped Kyler along the way, as far as not having to rely so much on his legs, is having a great outlet. And you guys brought in and traded for a good one, Zach Ertz there. He's averaging 10 yards a reception since joining the Cardinals. You had to be excited about that, but how do you see him factoring into this ballgame?
I think Zach Ertz is going to have, if not a 100-yard game, a close to a 100-yard game. I think the Rams kind of struggle in the middle of the field because a lot of their big playmakers in terms of the secondary are Jalen Ramsey being on the outside. So I think Zach Ertz could definitely open up a lot of space in the middle of the field and help Kyler out. I mean, even against other teams that guard the middle of the field better than the Rams, we still target Zach Ertz the most. Ever since Zach Ertz came to the Cardinals, he's been the most targeted receiver that we have. So I think the chemistry that they have has built up very quickly, and I think we could see a pretty big explosion in terms of their production in this game coming up.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it, sort of an up and down season. Another aspect of that was this Cardinals defensive front. that came out of the gate very hot, looked fantastic. There's other times where they're having trouble dialing up that pressure. San Francisco able to get pressure on Matthew Stafford, force him into some bad situations, which is how you have to beat this team. I think you have to get up there. How does this defensive front fare against this Rams O-line, and can you guys have success rattling Matthew Stafford?
I definitely think we can have success rattling Matthew Stafford, but I think a big if factor on that is regarding whether or not JJ is going to be playing on Monday, because him being pulled off of IR is absolutely huge. But as of today, he said that it's not a guarantee that he'll be playing or not. He'll be starting on practice with the team on Thursday, and we're going to see from there if he's going to be able to play. But if JJ's there, that's huge for our run defense that has struggled all year pretty much. And in terms of creating pressure, having JJ and Chandler Jones obviously creates mismatches because who are you going to double team? So I think him being there is huge, but without him, it'll be harder, but we'll definitely need to rely on our edge rushers and Marcus Golden and Chandler Jones.
Yeah, you talk about guys that you have to double team, and now I'm going to talk about the opposite side of that, because there's a guy on the Rams defensive line that you guys have to account for and look out, and that's Big Aaron Donald. Sometimes double, triple team is not enough. How do you offensively sort of game plan to take Aaron Donald, make him a non-factor in this game?
I think you got to do what every other team does, and you got to double team him, triple team him when it's necessary. But I really think it's going to come down to Kyler's awareness, because we saw in the first matchup that Kyler was able to elude Aaron Donald extremely well and make Aaron Donald look like one of the players that Kyler Murray does, where he just kind of breaks their ankles and they fall down. But then it goes to the second game, and we see Kyler getting hit by Aaron Donald a lot. So I think that it's really going to come down to the awareness of Kyler Murray, keeping an eye on Aaron Donald, and being able to escape that pressure at the right time.
Yeah, it's two teams that are very familiar with each other, so it's going to make for an intriguing matchup on Monday night. Looking at some other stats here, Arizona's defense is fourth as far as takeaway differentials goes. They're plus 12 on the year on that. They've got a very opportunistic secondary, and as we saw, if you get a little pressure on Matthew Stafford, he's known to throw an interception or two.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've seen the Cardinals take a couple of them from him as well. I think that's a big aspect of this game, is creating turnovers, because I think Chandler and Byron Murphy are two pretty key players in terms of making turnovers for this game, because Chandler loves getting to the ball rather than to the quarterback more often than not. He'll slap that ball out of their hand before they can even throw it. And I think Byron Murphy needs to be on Cooper Kupp as often as possible, because that's the best matchup we can have, and we need to bait Matthew Stafford into eyeing down Cooper Kupp like he has all season, so Byron Murphy can pick off some balls. But at the same time, Cardinals have been one of the best teams at protecting the ball, so I think it just goes both ways, that Cardinals need to protect the ball, especially in vital points, and they also need to try to create turnovers from Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I mean that's clearly that's like football 101, so saying it out loud sounds stupid, but and that's the thing, we've talked about this.
We
talked about it on the podcast. We talked about it earlier. We talked about it with our Rams fan when we talked to him. Matthew Stafford has been just turning the ball over like crazy. So to come into this game, I mean, as probably the underdog, not by a lot of points. This one's a close spread. The turnover battle is really a big deal in this game, and I think the Cardinals have the advantage here with Matthew Stafford on the other side, which isn't something I guess I thought I would have said earlier in the season, but here we are.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a kind of shot in the dark to see how a lot of these Cardinals players are going to adjust to postseason play, but we've also seen what Matthew Stafford can do in the playoffs, given he's not had the team he has right now, but Matthew Stafford's kind of starting to look like postseason Matthew Stafford late in the year. and hopefully the Cardinals can take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I would think that it really at this point, if I'm a Cardinals fan or a Cardinals player, I think a lot of the pressure in this game is on the Rams. They're the team mortgaging the future to win a championship now. The Cardinals had their ups and downs. We just saw them lose this game. Like, I don't know. I don't know that the expectations are super high for this team coming into this game, but tell me that they win and tell me that they win by 10 points. I'm not surprised at all. So maybe that's a flying under the radar type thing, which isn't a bad thing right now for a team like this.
This is a big mystery as far as how I can see this game going come Monday night.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I think both of the teams on this Monday night game are extremely sneaky and possible Super Bowl contenders. But as a Cardinals fan, as a fan of the NFC West, I wouldn't be surprised if either team were to lay an egg on Monday, just as much as I wouldn't be surprised if either team just had an offensive explosion. It's kind of hard to keep track on what version of these teams we're going to find. But with the trends right now, I think Kyler Murray has throughout his career, he steps up on the biggest stages, and Matthew Stafford has not yet proven that he can do that. So I think the odds are in the Cardinals' favors despite being the away team.
Sure. So with that being said, we'll roll into to getting you out of here. How do you see this game shaking out on Monday night? And what do you got for a score? Give me a prediction. How's this one going to go?
I think the final score will be 34-31 Cardinals. And I think Matthew Prater is going to hit a late field goal.
Got a lot of kicker love this week.
Yeah,
a lot of guys
kicker
predicting
love
their
from
team
these
to
guys
win
out
and
there.
giving their kicker a little love. I enjoy what's going on here. It's pretty fun. All right, Tyler. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us. If your prediction's correct and your team wins, we'll be hitting you up to try to hop on with us again next week.
Of course, that sounds awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Anytime. We appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, another one in the books there. I don't know how I feel about this game.
This, like I said,
You said it, yeah, and you're not wrong. I
don't know
agree
how
with you
this can go.
completely.
You've got two teams that have looked red hot at moments, and then two teams that have come out here and struggled. Both sort of I don't want to say backing in because they're already in, but sort of limping into the postseason off of a big loss.
For sure.
So who knows? Of course, those losses. You look at it's a divisional matchup that we've got in the playoffs as well, and you can, especially with the NFC West, you can sort of. This team beats this team, but then this team beats this team, and then these two usually split, but one or the other. So it's hard to look at what they did last week and compare that to what they're going to be able to do this week. But it'll be fun
for sure. Make sure you guys are checking out the rest of these fan playoff previews. We've got previews for all the games up by the end of the day Thursday. They're coming out. If you're following along as they're released, they're coming out just about every hour. They'll all be up by mid to late afternoon, all available for your listening pleasure. If you like what you're hearing here and you haven't checked out the podcast, make sure to do that. I won't say that these previews are an exact representation of what the show is, but if you want to hear that, we're going to have some fun on Friday. We're going to pick all the games and go over it here and make all of our picks official. So should be a fun time until the next one that you listen to. Hopefully you're listening to all of these or see on the podcast, or maybe we won't. I hope that's not the case. But until then, for Jam over here.
Yeah, and some great fans.
And some great fans, yeah. This has been Just Another Football Show.
Bye.
Act one, scene one. Oh.